The story begins with a mom holding her son's hand. They noticed a cat on the road and thought that it's asleep. The boy and the mother went near the kitty and the boy called it cute. When the boy touched it, he realized that it's cold and asked mommy the reason. She answered, "It's dead." The boy asked the mom for a reason, but she just smiled. In the present, a boy named Say was lying on his bed. His mom entered the room and told him that the time is 7 a.m., so he should wake up. After he got up, his mom asked him what he wanted to eat. She gave him two choices, a pork bun or a red bean bun. Say chose pork and mommy immediately went down to prepare it. Behind her, Say also came down and saw his dad. After a moment, mommy, whose name is Seiko, also entered the room with the breakfast for Say. While Say was eating, his dad told Seiko that he's got drinks after work tonight. Hearing that, Seiko asked him if he's going to be late. The dad answered with no and told her that he should be back by 9 or so. He also mentions that he just has to show his face, so there's no need for him to stay out all night. After talking to the dad, Seiko turned on the TV to check the weather. She heard that a high-pressure system is expected to bring extremely high temperatures throughout the day. This means it's going to be hot today. The next moment, Say was walking outside when some boys came to him and bumped into him from behind. These boys seem to be Say's friends. Today, they're going swimming at school because of the hot temperature, so the glasses boy asked the other two if they were wearing a swimsuit under his clothes. When they answered yes, he turned to Say. But instead of just asking him, he took down his pants to check himself. Seeing that, Say got angry and asked them to stop, but they didn't listen. At school, Say was sitting on his seat looking at a girl Fukishi. During the break, Say saw Fukishi talking to a boy. Then, Say said out loud that Fukishi was talking to a boy and hid behind the wall. Suddenly, Fushiki came from behind and scared him. She called him dork and left. After school, while Say was going home, his friends told him that they're going to eat ramen tomorrow, so he should be ready. At home, Say greeted his mom and picked up a snack to eat because he's feeling hungry. While he was doing that, his mom told him that tomorrow his aunt and Shige are coming over. So, she asked him if he had any plans for tomorrow. Say told her that he had plans for tomorrow, but he'll cancel them. Seiko gave choice, telling him that it's his choice if he wants to stay home or not. When Say still decided to stay home, his mom first said sorry to him and then thanks. While eating, Say told him mom that he had a dream last night. He told her that it was back when he was little, he was with her and they saw a cat lying by the side of the road. When he touched it, it was cold, it was dead and that's it. This was his dream. But for some reason, he felt that it might have been real. Hearing that, his mom was shocked and told him that she can't believe he still remembers that moment. When that happened, he was only 3 years old. Then, Say asked him if it really happened because he didn't remember until he had the dream. Seiko confirms that it happened and tells him, there was a cat lying on the side of the road, and you said, it's a kitty, and ran over to it. The two of us pet it. You said it was cold and I told you it was dead. She's amazed that he remembered it. As she said it's been 10 years since then, she got really close to him. She grabbed his face and said, let your mommy hold you. Suddenly, Say backed out asking her to stop because it's embarrassing. Next, he took the dishes and headed to a different room. While he was walking out, his mom asked him about his opinion on how that cat died. Say said he doesn't know and just guessed that it got hit by a car. Hearing that, Seiko smiled and said that he must be right. The next day, Say woke up like usual. His mother gave him two choices, pork or red bean. He chose pork. Today's Saturday, but dad is still getting ready for work, so Say asked him why he's going today. The dad answered that he has some things to finish up so he's going just for a bit. Hearing that, Seiko asked him about the lunch. She tells him that his sister and Shige are coming over, and asks him if he is going to eat with them. The dad asked her to not worry, saying that he'll be home at that time. For now, you guys might be thinking that this is just a wholesome story, but just wait a little, the story will take a dark turn after some chapters. With that, the dad left the house and mom started cleaning it. After a while, the doorbell rang. Seiko opened the door and Say's auntie was standing there. She said morning to them and mentioned how hot it is outside. As they were greeting each other, Shige also entered the room and suggested Say that they should go upstairs. While they were climbing the stairs, Say's mom and auntie were talking and laughing. In his room, Shige and Say were playing a game. After a moment, Shige happily announced that he won 3 times in a row. Right when they were thinking about what to play next, Shige suddenly mentions that Say's parents are overprotective. He mentions Say's mom is always hovering over him. He then asked him if he remembered in kindergarten how her mom stood there in the back of the room every day. Hearing that, Say points out that she used to stand there because she was worried about him. He was always crying and saying he didn't want to go. Then, Shige asked him if he didn't think that was kind of weird, and again called his mom overprotective. At that moment, Say angrily asked Shige to not talk bad about his mom. Seeing his serious expression, Shige laughed and told him that he was just joking. After a while, the family was sitting together and eating food. While eating, Shige said to Say that they should hang out again tomorrow. Suddenly, Say's aunt suggested that they should go somewhere over summer break. She mentions that her dad was saying he'd like to go hiking with everyone. They could stay at a hot spring resort, like the place they went last year. Like this, they talk for a while and then Auntie and Shigeru leave the house. While leaving, Shige told Sei that he will come back tomorrow. After they left, Seiko said to Sei that they should head back inside. Right then, Sei called his mom to say something, but didn't say anything in the end. Seiko noticed that and asked him what he wanted to say. When Sei tells her to forget about it, she pokes his cheek and asks him to tell her if something's bothering him. In the end, Sei just said, "Thank you for everything, Mom." Suddenly, Seiko kissed Sei on the cheek, which made him feel really embarrassed. Seiko then thanked Sei and told him that he made her so happy. From then on, Shige came over every week. Saturday and Sunday, likewise. Also, Sei's mommy always looked happy. The next day, Sei term ended and they got summer vacations. While going home, one of Sei's friends asked everyone if they wanted to come over to his house and play games. All of them agreed except Sei. He said that his cousin is coming over, so he can't play with them. Hearing that, his friends point out that his cousin particularly lives at his place. With that, they left after saying bye to each other. Right then, Fukishi and some other girl came to Sei. The girl named Otani told Sei that Fukishi wants to walk home with him. Saying that, Otani left, leaving Fukishi and Sei alone. As they were walking home together, Fukishi saw a cat at the side of the road and started petting it. Suddenly, Fukishi asked Sei if he could come over to his house sometime. Sei was really shocked and asked her the reason. Seeing him blushing, she asked him to not get any funny ideas. Sei quickly answered that he wasn't thinking anything of that sort. Laughing, she asked him when she should come. Sei then reveals that his cousin came over to him quite a lot. So if he's there, Sei and Fukishi will not be able to stay comfortable. So, Sei said that he had to go home and ask his mom first. Hearing that, Fukishi got up and asked him to call her after he asked his mom. With that, she left saying that they'll go on date next time. When Sei entered home, his mom first asked him to show her his report card. He gave her the card and when she checked it, she was really happy. Sei got 5 in everything except a 3 in P. She praised Sei and touched his face saying he's not embarrassed today, so he should let her touch him. Sei didn't say anything about her touching him and just asked her if he can invite a friend over. Someday when Shige and his mom aren't coming. She said that he can invite a friend over, but he should remember that they're all going on that trip next week. So things are a little. She said that he can invite a friend over, but requests him to invite his friend after the trip. Sei agreed and started walking toward his room. As he was walking up the stairs, his mom asked him if roast pork and rice is okay for lunch. When he smiled and answered yes, his mom noticed that he looks happier today and asked him if something happened. Sei quickly turned around and said no. Because of this, his mom just looked at him with a blank expression. A week later, the whole family got together and went on a trip. After they left the car, Shige pointed at the stick that his grandpa was holding and said that it's really cool. So, his grandpa said that he has an extra and gave it to Shige. With that, they started climbing the mountain. After climbing for a while, they decided to take some rest. As the family was taking rest, Shige was standing near the end of the cliff and asked Sei to come look down. Then, Sei slowly walked toward the end of the cliff to reach Shige. He was scared because they're pretty high up. At that moment, Seiko came behind Sei and asked him to be careful. Seeing that, Sei's auntie asked Seiko to not worry. Right then, Shige pointed at a faraway place and asked Sei to look there. But when Sei did that, Shige suddenly pushed him from behind. Immediately, Seiko moved forward and grabbed Sei from behind. She had a really worried expression. At that moment, everyone started laughing. Sei's auntie even called Seiko overprotective. After a while, Shige's grandpa suggested that they should start walking again. Later, they were resting and talking. But for some reason, Sei and his mom are sitting a little far away from the group. Right then, Shige came to Sei and suggested that they should go pee together. Sei agreed and they went to take piss. After relieving themselves, instead of going back, Shige suggested that they should explore a little. Hearing his suggestion, Sei said that they should go back. But Shige didn't listen and asked him to come with him. So, Sei and Shige went off the road and started exploring. After a while, they reached the end of the cliff like before. Shige was standing near the end, asking Sei to come and take a look. But Sei refuses, saying that he'll push him again. Hearing that, Shige said sorry to him, but Sei didn't answer or accept his apology. Shige noticed that and asked him to say something. At that moment, Sei's mom arrived there. Shige asked her what she's doing here. She answered that they were taking so long, so she just came to check on them. Then, she asked Shige to not stand near the end of the cliff because it's dangerous. But instead of listening to her, he started dancing at the end of the cliff while calling Sei's mom overprotective. Suddenly, Shige loses his balance a little and it looks like he's going to fall down. Immediately, Seiko ran toward him and grabbed him. Instead of thanking her, Shige tried to get away from her saying he's fine. At that moment, Seiko pushed Shige off of the cliff. As Shige fell down, Sei couldn't say anything. He was so shocked that his eyes were about to pop out. When Seiko looked back, she was smiling. Sei saw her smile and started sweating really hard. Suddenly, he heard a shout. He looked in front and saw his mom on the ground shouting. With worried expressions, she asked Sei to go and call the others. Without thinking, Sei ran back while thinking about his mom's smile. On his way back, he saw that other family members were already going toward the place from where Shige fell. Sei's dad said that they heard a scream, and asked Sei if something happened. Stuttering, Sei barely said, Shige fell off the cliff. Shige's mom heard that and immediately ran toward the place while calling her son's name. When they reached the place, they just saw Seiko sitting near the end of the cliff. Shige's mom grabbed Seiko and asked her where's Shige. After staying silent for a moment, she tells her that Shige was fooling around at this place. Saying that, she started crying while apologizing. She apologized and said that she was too late. She tells them that Shige was fooling around here when he suddenly lost his balance and fell down. Shige's mom heard that and started shouting her son's name down the cliff. Right then, Shige's dad spotted Shige's hat. Shige's mom was so worried for her son that she was ready to go down straight from here and save him, but others stopped her. They said they have to find a way to get down there. Shige's grandpa asked Sei's dad, Ichiro, to go back down and call for help while they'll stay behind and look for a way to go down. Immediately, Shige's family left to find a way down. Ichiro didn't leave immediately. He first asked Seiko to not worry, then told Sei to stay here and take care of mommy while he'll get down and call for help. This whole time, Sei didn't say a single word and just looked at his mom. Suddenly, his mom started talking about random things to herself. Sei called her but she didn't listen and kept blabbering to herself. So to wake her up, Sei called her loudly. Because of that, she stopped blabbering and immediately hugged Sei. She asked Sei to hold her tight and he did just that. At this moment, he remembered the dead cat he saw when he was 3 years old. Now, the question of why the cat died came back to his mind again. After a while, she asked Sei to let her go. Seeing her walking back, Sei asked her where she's going. She answered that they have to go look for Shige. For some reason, she's acting like she didn't do anything. Sei followed her down the cliff thinking that his mom's acting funny. He thought that she's not normal. This right now, he thought that this isn't his real mommy. While thinking about his mom, he remembered his dad telling him to take care of his mom. So he decided to hold on and help his mommy. After some time, they reached the point where Shige fell. They saw Shige's mom asking severely injured Shige to hold on. When Shige's mom noticed that Seiko and Sei were here, she told them that the trees cushioned his fall. She believes that her son is going to be okay. She told Shige that his dad is calling for help, so he has to hold on. Worried, she kept talking to her son. She said he's gonna play with Sei again after recovering completely. Then she looked towards Sei and Seiko asking them to come talk to Shige. Sei went toward Shige and called his name. Hearing that, Shige opened his eyes. His mom immediately asked him if he could hear her, or if he remembered her. Shige didn't say anything when Seiko called him and asked him if he's hurt. She called him a poor thing and said, "It'll only be a little longer." At that moment, Shige's dad came back with a team of rescuers. Rescuers acted quickly. They noticed that Shige was bleeding from the head. Face is pale, respiratory rate slightly elevated. They put an oxygen mask on Shige's face and waited for the helicopter which would arrive soon. Suddenly, Seiko looked toward her son and said, "Help me," while crying. At the hospital, the whole family was sitting with a sad face. Sometime later, nurses brought out Shige. Seeing him, his mom asked the nurses if he's okay. They asked them to not worry and told her that the surgery was successful. Before leaving, the nurse told them that the doctor wanted to talk to them. First, the doctor told them that the surgery went smoothly and then started explaining Shige's current situation. He pointed at the CT scan of Shige's brain that was taken before the surgery. He pointed at a part and said that this is an acute subdural hematoma caused by a depressed skull fracture. He continues that there were several other large hematomas. The procedure to evacuate them, to keep the intracranial pressure under, they have him on 4-drip. In the end, the doctor told them that Shige is in a coma and won't be able to respond to them. There is some possibility that he will never regain full consciousness. Even if he does recover, a degree of residual impairment is likely. The difficulties with speech, paralysis, memory loss, that sort of thing can happen. Hearing the report, Shige's mom got really sad and started crying. Suddenly, Sei sat on the ground holding his stomach. His dad immediately came to him and asked him if something's wrong. His mom also came to him and asked him if he needed rest. Right then, some police officers came to them and said they needed a moment of their time. A police officer asked them about the people who were present at the time of Shige's accident. Seiko said she was present there with her son. Hearing that, the police officer asks her about the details. She started explaining, saying they were near the summit, all having lunch together. Shige and Sei had gone off to relieve themselves, and she went to look for them because they were taking a long time. And she found them by the cliff. She said that Shige was at the edge and Sei was further back. She told Shige, "You'd better not stand there." But he said, "It's fine," and started fooling around, standing on one foot. Then Shige lost his balance. She said that she ran as fast as she could, but she too later. After hearing all the details, the police officer moved to Sei and asked him if what she just said was correct. At that moment, Seiko took her hand from Sei's shoulder and just looked at him with a smile. When Sei didn't talk for a moment, the police asked him if something's wrong. In the end, Sei said that everything his mother said was correct. Hearing that, the police officer didn't say anything to Sei and asked about the person who found Shige. Shige's dad spoke up claiming that he's the one who found Shige. After a while, Seiko and her family were about to go home. Before sitting in the taxi, Seiko said sorry to Shige's parents. Shige's mom said to Seiko that it wasn't her fault, it was her own mistake. With them, they sat in the taxi and went home. At home, Ichiro noticed that Sei hadn't eaten anything for a while, so he must be hungry. He asked Seiko to give Sei some food, and left the room after telling them that he's going out for a quick smoke. When he left, Seiko asked Sei what he wanted to eat. A pork bun or a red bean bun. They looked at each other's eyes for a while, and in the end, Sei chose pork. The next moment, the same scene repeated where 3-year-old Sei was telling his mom that Kitty's cold. But this time, instead of the cat's head, there was Shige's head. The mom touched the kitty that had Shige's head and said that it's dead. Then Kitsei asked his mom about why the cat is dead. Instead of answering, she just smiled at him. Suddenly, her expressions turned creepy. She said, "Sei, will you forgive your mommy?" Right then, Sei woke up in his bed with sweat all over his body. After sitting there for a while, he went down where his dad greeted him. Next, Seiko entered the room and said good morning. She then asked Sei if tuna mayo onigiri is okay for breakfast. Sei didn't look at her and said, "Sure." As he answered, his dad looked at him and suggested that they should go and see Shige in the hospital after Sei ate the breakfast. Saiku immediately agrees to go see Shige, but Sei refuses. He said he doesn't want to go. Ichiro didn't insist on it. He said that Sei doesn't have to go if he doesn't want to. In the end, only Seiko and Ichiro left to see Shige while Sei stayed behind. Before closing the door, Seiko looked at Sei and said, "See you later." After that, Sei went to his room and lay down. He put both of his hands on his head and started crying loudly. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. He immediately stopped crying and went to check the door. When he opened it, he saw Fukishi standing in front of him. He asked her about the reason for her coming. She reminds him that he said he'd call her, but he never did. Remembering what he said, he apologized to her for not calling her. Then, she asked him if his cousin's home. When Sei told her that no one's home, she asked him if she should come in. The next moment, Fukishi was inside Sei's house. Sei asked her if she wanted to drink tea. As she answered yes, Sei started preparing tea for her. While he was doing that, Fukishi interrupted him and told him that she wanted to see his room. After preparing the tea, Fukishi followed Sei to his room. Looking around, she asked Sei if she could sit on his bed. Sei gave her permission, so she sat on it. She then looked at Sei, wanting him to sit with her. He did just that but saw far away from her. After he sat down, she asked him where his parents were. He answered that they're at the hospital. When Fukishi asked him the reason, Sei answered that his cousin got hurt. Hearing that, she got worried and asked him if he's okay. But as she asked, Sei's expression turned dark. He started stuttering. After trying really hard, he barely said a word, "Sorry." He wanted to say more, but he couldn't talk further. She understood his condition and decided to leave. But when she reached the door, she opened her back and took out a letter. She gave the letter to Sei while blushing and asked him to read it later. Immediately after Sei took the letter, they heard a noise. Right then, the room of Sei's door opened and revealed Sei's mother. She showed a creepy expression and said, "Oh, a friend." Seeing her, Sei was really shocked. He tried hard and barely asked her why she came back. She answered that she forgot something. She just came back to get it when she saw an unfamiliar pair of shoes, so she thought someone might be here. Saying that, she faced Fukishi and asked about her. After she told Seiko her name, Seiko called it a cute name. At that moment, Fukishi decided to leave. Seeing her leaving this early, she said, "Hope I'm not interrupting." Fukishi said no and left the house after saying to Sei that they'll meet later. After she left, Seiko moved towards Sei and said, "Let me see that." She asked him to let her see whatever he's holding. Without saying anything, he gave the letter that Fukishi gave him to his mom. She read it all and then asked Sei if he wanted to read it. Sei didn't answer, so Seiko just sat beside him and showed him the letter. In the letter, Fukishi has written that this is her first letter in all 14 years she's been alive. Fukishi wrote that she never liked someone for a whole year and asked Sei if she could be his girlfriend. Even if the answer is no, she asked him to tell him. In the end, she told him to never tell anyone about this. Sei was really shocked after reading the letter. Right then, a drop of water fell on Sei's arm. He looked toward his mom and saw that she's crying. While crying, she said, "You can't. You can't." She said that she won't accept it. She got close to Sei and said that they should get rid of this letter. Hearing that, Sei couldn't say anything. His mouth opened, but no word came out. He couldn't say anything, but he started crying. Suddenly, his mom hugged and they both lay down on Sei's bed. While crying and stuttering, Sei asked his mom to never leave him. She agrees with Sei, but in return, he always has to do whatever his mom tells him. Then, she picked up the letter and said to Sei that they should rip it up together. With that, one side of the letter was held by Sei and the other was held by Seiko. On the count of 3, they ripped apart the letter together. As the letter was ripped apart, Sei saw that he himself was getting torn into many pieces. Suddenly, Seiko kissed Sei and they both just smiled looking at each other. After a moment, Ichiro entered Sei's room while finding Seiko. He couldn't find Seiko downstairs, so he got up the stairs to check Sei's room. As he entered the room, the first thing he saw was Seiko and Sei lying on a bed while hugging each other. Ichiro asked them if something happened. Right then, he saw pieces of paper on the ground and asked them about the paper and why it's all ripped up. When she didn't answer, Ichiro touched her shoulder and called her again. With that, she got up. Her expression was blank, so Ichiro asked him if something happened. He asked if she found the thing she came to find. Hearing that, she laughed a little and told Ichiro that she's not going to the hospital. She asked him to go by himself. Ichiro was shocked and worried, so he asked her the reason. She said that there's no reason for her to go to the hospital as it will do no good. Startled, Ichiro told her that it's not true. But Seiko didn't listen and just said that he didn't understand anything. She said to him that he doesn't understand a thing about how she felt. Saying that, she started laughing again. Ichiro was really confused and just assumed that she's in shock. He told her that he's also in shock and also told her that it's not her fault. He asked her to not worry. He said that everyone knows she did nothing wrong. He guessed that will also think the same. Right then, Seiko started crying as she shouted, asking him what he thinks he knows. She got in front of Sei and asked Ichiro to not involve them. She tells him she and Sei have nothing to do with it. As she was shouting, she suddenly got angry, asking Ichiro to leave. She asked Ichiro to get out of here. Hearing that, Ichiro just said he'll talk to her after he got back and left the house. After he left, Seiko stretched her body and looked towards Sei saying, "Mommy really went and said it." Then, she asked him what they should have for lunch. She suggested sushi and looked around the room. She realized that the room is a complete mess and said that she'll clean it later. With that, she started walking toward the exit of the room while singing a song. While Sei was doing his homework, he thought that Mommy didn't say anything else after that. About Shige or about Fukishi. And they didn't go to the hospital to see Shige even once, for 3 whole weeks. At that moment, Seiko walked into the room and asked Sei about how his homework was going. Stuttering, he was barely able to say fine. He tells her that he's almost done and also mentions that summer vacation's almost over. Hearing that, Seiko asked him if he wanted to go to Nagasaki. She said that she'll buy some new clothes there. Next, both mother and son were riding their bicycles. On their way, they met an old lady. She mentions how hot it is today. Seiko also agrees that it's hot today. Then, the old lady looked at Sei and pointed out that he's so big now. She asked him his age. Sei couldn't answer properly. He barely let out a single word, 13. With that, the old lady said goodbye to them and both parted ways. At a mart, Seiko was checking out different clothes. She noticed the one she liked and asked Sei if he liked it. Sei wasn't able to talk, he just said he didn't know. Hearing that, his mom poked his cheek and asked him if this is all he can say. Right then, Sei spotted his friends, so he tried to hide himself. After some shopping, both Sei and Seiko were sitting in a hotel to eat something. After checking menu for a while, she asked him Sei if he knows what he wants. As Sei nodded, she called the waiter. When the waiter arrives, Seiko orders shrimp gratin and the wakame soup. Next, she asked Sei to order what he wanted. Sei couldn't talk, so he just pointed at the dish he wanted. It was a combination pizza. Seeing that, Seiko suggested the fried octopus. She mentions that he always used to get fried octopus, and asked him if he wants that now. Sei just nodded and she added it to the list. While the order was being prepared, Seiko pointed outside and said, "The light makes everything so white." Then, she said that she heard Shige hasn't woken up yet. She mentions to Sei that his auntie's been staying at the hospital every night. She said that it must be hard on her and called her a poor thing. Saying that, she looked toward Sei and asked him if he wondered what they all think about both Seiko and Sei never going to visit. Before Sei said anything, the waiter arrived with their order. After receiving the food, Seiko said that to the waiter and mentioned that the food looks delicious. With that, she took a bite of the food and really liked it. Subscribe for the next part.